Okay, so the first question is, what's the biggest global challenge you care about and why?
So for me, the biggest global challenge that I care deeply about is definitely climate change and the climate crisis going on in the world right now. The main reason I care the most about this is because climate change, like John Conger said, is like a threat multiplier. So this one global issue basically impacts all other global issues that will make those much more detrimental, as well as climate change itself being a huge issue in the present time.
Why do global issues affect you?
So personally, for me, global issues affect me because on a personal level, a lot of the internal or smaller issues we have in our area aren't very prevalent for me, just because I might be more privileged than other people. And so I definitely want to look beyond myself, beyond my community, and see how I can help other people abroad, either just other people in the country or other people around the world. Now, when I look, I see that personally, I don't need a lot of things because I'm given a lot. And so I want other people to be able to have as much as I have, whether that's fighting poverty, getting people in better situations, education, or all that. That's definitely why I think global issues affect not only me, because if other people are suffering, then I can't be at peace. I think that's kind of a personal philosophy I have. And so I just want to make sure that although I have a lot of stuff that I'm grateful for, I don't want to sit and stay silent when other people could be helped by me or by other voices around me.
And how did you get involved with advocacy? And what have you learned personally through advocating?
So for me, the single biggest thing that basically got me involved in advocacy is definitely the speech community, which I joined my high school speech team starting my freshman year. And it truly just gives you a voice to voice your own opinions, your expressions, and bring problems to light. And so through speech and advocacy, I learned that it doesn't matter how big your voice is, every voice matters, because in a speech round, every single competitor talks about something that they're super passionate about. And I learned so much by listening to countless different speeches, things I might not have learned before, might not have knew before, but now is brought to light. So even the smallest voice, however small you think your voice may be, it definitely has an impact on other people in their opinions, how they view the world, and it can truly make a change.
How long have you been advocating? And as you've been advocating, have there been any challenges that you've encountered? And how have you overcome those challenges?
But for me, it started mainly in high school through speech. And the main challenge that I think I saw with advocacy is basically not knowing how to get my voice out there and heard by more people, or how to make that sustainable impact. And before this, it was just speech in rounds. You would talk, you would show your voice and your problems to other people, and then that would be it. You wouldn't really see a tangible impact or if other people were actually influenced by what you said. But going through like the AMP Global Scholar Program, I realized it was a lot easier to reach out to people who really could make a difference, such as legislators, people of power in your community, different stakeholders. And so being able to reach out like super easily, it's not a challenge. It's just something that I didn't know about. So now realizing that that roadblock of how can my voice get heard was kind of broken, I can now like truly put my voice out there and like try and make as much change as possible that was tangible and truly impacting my community and those around me.
So, going off of your Global Scholar experience, what do you plan to do maybe in the near future regarding contacting your representatives or having a more active voice in both your local community and a more global community?
The AMP final projects, something that every group basically put out a roadmap of what they would do in the future, is also something that I was like kind of surprised at, because first off, it was a bold thing to do in 2 weeks, create a final project that should be sustainable or like can make change in the future. but we managed to do it. For me, I do want to tackle climate change within my own community, starting with schools, either implementing solar panels or even changing curriculum to fit more climate change and to teach students, educate them about the issue of climate change, which was not being educated in like earlier grade levels before high school. And so that's one thing I want to do, as well as on a more global level. All of my other peers in the AMP Global Scholar Program are not in my area. And so I do want to reach out to them, see what they're doing with their projects through whether that's education of voters or other climate change policies around the United States. I want to reach out to them, see how I can help them, how I can further their projects, as well as even people outside of the United States to see however I can help. I would be happy to as well.
And is there something that you believe could prevent youth from engaging with advocacy? Maybe a lack of motivation or still keeping connected to an issue that they care about, especially during stressful times, because some youth, they may need to focus on schoolwork. And how do you consider that balance?
Yeah, so like staying connected with an issue through hard times or even getting involved initially, I think the main roadblock comes for getting involved initially is definitely the education portion and the knowledge of these global issues, which again, our school system does not teach us about these global issues that are very prevalent in our society. And so a lot of us don't know how to approach it or even don't know it's an option. And so first, that education piece has to be put in place and allowing the youth to make that decision after they have the knowledge to. And now the step to actually start advocating, I think, is a lot harder because a lot of people we see nowadays are on social media trying to advocate, which I think is helpful in a way to spread information among a wider audience, but also we don't see a lot of tangible impacts, whereas we don't see a lot of legislation being passed. We don't see that our actions actually prompt change. And so that is also one thing that deters a lot of young advocates from continuing. And I think like AMP taught us, the roadblock can be broken with a straight line to legislators, to representatives. I think if more people knew that they could just pick up the phone and schedule a meeting with their representative, more people would do that. And so that could also be a great part to educate young voices and showing that that is doable and that is something that should be expected because as we know, legislators are technically working for their constituents, working for us, the voters.
And the final question is, how are youth voices powerful?
So the prime example that I can think of about how youth voices are powerful comes from Greta Thunberg, which is the Swedish climate activist who started advocating just as young as me in her youth by by skipping school to protest climate change. And so I really look up to her because like as youth, we all think that our voices aren't powerful. We're not going to make a difference in society. We're not going to get through to the adults, to the legislators. But Greta Thunberg showed us that that is false. We have the power to make true change by gathering people around us who support the same issues that we do. And so just like her, youth are the future of the world. And we have the numbers and the voices loud enough to make that change, but we just have to be the ones that step forward and do it. And although that does come with some roadblocks, such as our education system, every youth advocate needs to work to do their best to educate other youth around them on issues that they care about and gather that mobilizing force that will allow us to raise our voices to contact legislators, to contact representatives, and to truly make a change in our society and the global society around us.